T from the Sex Fiends. And the OG Kid Frost, he contributed. We're looking at doing some work with South Park Mexican as well. Who I'm missing on that record, man? It's a phenomenal record so far. ESG, Lip Flip, if I didn't mention them. And just, it's more like a Houston-based record, you know what I mean, with a lot of Houston artists on it. You and being from Louisiana. So that type of thing. I'm working on another project with my cousin Lil Boosie out there in Atlanta. It's undisclosed right now as far as the title, but we're a few songs in and it's doing pretty good. And like I say, as far as the trap, man, I got a few coming out going into the year. One is Bleed for My City. Was It Something I Said? It's an EP I'm getting ready to release. And another album to follow we call Therapy, man. So yeah, my hands is full, man. I'm ripping and running. You heard?
Hey, my man, you got that you got that documentary in the works? Is it about to come out this year or next year?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be next year. Really, two of them, because we're doing one for Full Circle, the H-Town record, then we're doing one in Baton Rouge, the Young Bleed, a Baton Rouge story. When I was mentioning my cousin Frog and Picture Perfect Studio. So we wrapping that up as we speak. So yeah, sometime early next year we aiming at.
Okay. Obviously you've been definitely busy in terms of still in the endeavors of excellence in terms of pushing forward. When you talk about you relaunching your label and everything, what was the process and what motivated you to go ahead and kick it up again to restart it?
Well, it never stopped, but I kind of took a hiatus since my last solo album, Davers the God. It's just coming up with a better marketing strategy, man. Sometimes I put records out and people don't know they out, so it's just rekindling and finding a new team of players and different things like that to help get the ball where it's going. So I don't like putting my genius into anything and it's overlooked in that sense. So that's something I've been working on like all life since the days of Priority and having that major push going back to an independence. So I'm trying to correct all those type of things, growing from an artist to a CEO. So that part of it, about 20 artists on the label spread across the country. So yeah, I just wanted to get in the right situation and do the right things for myself and for those guys just participating, man. So that part, just getting all the ducks in line.
Yeah, how that transition been from artist to CEO been like for you?
Well, the thing is, in one sense, I always kind of been that since I was saying the day they made me boss on the Balls of My Word records. You know what I mean? I always built on a backdrop to have two hands. Whatever was taking place major at the same time, I still built a company. Starting with criminal records that never got off the ground, and eventually we went to Detention Home, and to eventually Trapdoor Entertainment, man. So yeah, I done made a few transitions, just graduating from artist to CEO, man. But it's a different thing. I tell everybody this: all I had to do was rap. It's a sense set, but getting with graphic guys, promoters, managers, lawyers, so on and so forth, and just again, getting all the ducks in a row, man, that type of thing, just dealing with the people and having the right team of players to, again, keep the ball going,
Absolutely. When you look at when you're talking about just in terms of the game, in terms of, promotions and how the market is for music, what have you seen today in terms of, especially from an extension of how music is, how it's broadcast, how it's produced, and how it is most importantly distributed to the fans and the promotion? Go ahead.
Yeah, that simple push of the button now. I'd always been pushing buttons in the studio, but now everything is social media platform. So it's like starting over for me. Once that started, when we was coming about, it wasn't a YouTube, it wasn't a MySpace, Twitter, Facebook, so on and so forth, Instagram. So now everything is at your fingertips. When we did copyrights back in the day, we had to go to the library to get the Circle C and Circle P form and mail that out to the Library of Congress. Now everything is digital. So now it's a push of a button with all those aspects of the game. So just something old, something new, relearning myself, the things that was already installed and graduating into this new world, man. That's all it is, transitioning, like you said.
That's dope, man. It's great to see you still being a standard bearer for the culture still showing that same passion and still showing that same energy and drive that it's hard to believe it's been, almost 25 years since you first came in the game, man. I mean, and you're still going at a high level. That's a testament to perseverance and, determination. How does it feel being not only a veteran, but a sage one in terms of the wisdom and the intelligence and the savvy that you have accumulated over the years?
Really, excuse me. In retrospect, almost double plus for me. I'm 50 years old. I just made 50. We celebrating the 50 years of hip hop this year. I turned 50 June 6th. You know what I mean? So that part of it, and I look back at it, it's more than half of my life for my contributions and learning process to hip hop. Keeping in mind, I started rapping and writing. I was probably rapping in '82, but I was trying to, learn to kind of shake my craft with that pen and the pad about around 1983 in the 4th grade, and I ain't never looked back. So when I look back at 41 plus years, yeah, it's a beautiful time.
Especially now when you see the My Balls and My Word album, it's still on heavy rotation and appreciated to this day. Like you see people wearing T-shirts of the album. You see it worn on podcasts. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Mind blowing, my brother. Who would have known, after all this time? I knew we had something good when we started with that. But yeah, for to keep up, what really, knocks my socks off is to see the younger generation. And then, watching hip hop kind of reset itself and they catching on. You think it's over, to start all over again, every city, every state. So yeah, it's been a true blessing, my brother. Absolutely.
Definitely. In terms of the game right now, who are some of the artists, in addition to who you work with on your new project, that you're feeling right now that you ultimately like to work with?
Exactly. Kendrick, I've been digging Kendrick for a while. Got family ties with Kendrick, not for his bloodline, but when I was at Strange Records with Tech Nine and those guys, J Rock was a part of that. So I had a personal time and chance to meet with J Rock and his side man King, a Magnum PI. So we really got in cahoots with each other over the years. And I think Kendrick might have spoke a few years back on Facebook or something like that. We hadn't had the honor and pleasure of hearing each other's voices or meeting in the flesh. But yeah, just having that connection through J Rock. That's family. I'm a J. Cole fan, the Baby, Big Baby. And they just, you know what I mean? I always keep an eye to the sky and an ear to the street. So here again, something old, something new, from the old school. We can call it old school now, like Kara's one would say. 50 years down the line, you can start this. We at that 50-year point. So it's still a lot of old schoolers that I've met, and a lot I haven't met that I like to meet. And if possible, get some work in with those guys as well as the next generation. Like I say, my name means young, the young that bleed for this generation. So I try to stay that bridge between the gap of young and old and do whatever I can to help keep it connected, that part.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it keeps the creativity going too.
You say the negativity?
It keeps the creativity going. And another thing too is you start seeing the younger generation, like you said before, appreciating your music, man. I remember hearing Problem sample How You Do That There. So
exactly,
that's a beautiful thing to see.
And that's on the strength through J Rock, actually, his side man King put me in Problem together some years ago when it was just on a mixtape level. And it blew up for him phenomenally, you know what I mean? I had a chance to see the little what would you call that on the Netflix, the little movie he had out. I watched that, you know what I mean? So I'm a Problem fan. We talked about doing some things in the past, but we hadn't had a chance to rekindle with each other and talk over the years. But yeah, that's something to see. That's one of the most duplicated songs in hip hop history. Young Berg, the Scarface I mentioned, Jay-Z had the How You Do That song. So, some guys I know, some guys I never met. So for that to go around the world, man, here again, that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. If you think about, and obviously you said you want to work with Kendrick. When you look at the battle that him and Drake had, in the middle of the year, what did you feel in terms of how big that was for hip hop in terms of really getting back to the essence of not only battling but keeping it on wax and more than anything showing that the lyrics are still a foundation. They're still the imperative. They are still the essence of the culture.
I'm bittersweet about that. Like I said, you was mentioning creativity. I thought I heard you say negativity, but going into the negative side of the game, I'm not a fan of the negative side. And more or less battling back in the days, it really stayed even at a street hood, park to park, backyard to yard, and house parties and all that. We could battle and say whatever in each other face, and it still was respectable. It was like kind of like the Mike Tyson fight the other night. I respected how Jake bowed out to him at the end, man. We all know what it is. It's paper and politics. But to see Mike withstand and stand up, man, I'm a Mike head to the end, man, and back again. But to see it be respectable and not get off wax. Nowadays, it's murders and all this other kind of shit that contribute from the street hood into the industry. So I'm not bravo in the fact that, whatever they got going on, because the wordplay is one thing, you know what I mean? And here again, the old school 80s rapping and 70s into the 80s, into the 90s, it didn't get so physical. It started getting like that in the 90s in certain, situations and cliques we could talk about. But now, we saw the thing with Drake and Rick Ross and all that. When you got to watch your back going to these towns, it's not fun anymore, you know what I mean? Bodyguards get killed and so on and so forth, and it's a plethora of things that puts a black eye on the whole culture. When in certain wordplay, it's one thing, like I say, old school battling, it was certain things we just didn't say to each other that was disrespectful. It wasn't fuck your mom, I'm gonna kill your dog and all this shit. It was certain things, when you talking facts and you digging into each other's life. I watched the Smack, URL shit. I love to see the battles. And some of my favorite guys in that battle domain. But my favorite battle of all time is the battle between Loaded Lux and Calico. You know what I mean? And how it was addressed. And it all but got to that point. It was some heated moments, but the education level, how it broke down, was class to me. So when it's like that, yeah, keep it traditional, but boxing is different than street fighting in the street. Keep it in the ring, man. Keep it in the arena. But outside the streets, it's a different ball game. And when people got to lose their lives behind something somebody said, it go back to the old UGK record yesterday. I never thought that I ever see the time that a man would try to kill another man behind a rhyme. That's true facts, you know what I mean, nowadays. So that part I don't condone. But just for the sport of it and for the culture, keep hip-hop alive, man. I'm with that.
See, that's dope that you mentioned that too, because a lot of people don't know, man, that a lot of people within the South, they pay attention to what's going on all regions. So, see, people have the notion that people in the South don't pay attention to what's going on in New York and Philly or Cali. Y'all are more observant than people give credit for.
Yeah, we get the trickle from both sides. I always said this, that you can tell by my craftsmanship. You can hear the East Coast in me, you can hear the West Coast in me, because it poured down from both sides while we was coming up in the middle. You know what I mean? So I think Jay Prince used to say the East and the West was the bread and we the meat in the middle. You know what I mean? So we got all the nourishments, and that's just not one-sided. For true connoisseurs like myself, that's hip-hop heads, that's old athlete culture that watched it grow from New York to the West Coast on up into the Midwest. So we right in line with Chicago, St. Louis, the Midwest trickle on down to the South. So here again, we the gumbo pot of America, Louisiana as a whole. So imagine that we get a chance to pick off all those trees and whoop it together, you know what I mean, and come back with an outcome. So yeah, definitely that.
Absolutely. And what you said, Bleed, is a real situation, because when you look at the influence, when you look at how the coast over the years have evolved, we look at how rhyming has evolved. It's a different time now, because there is an added emphasis on not only the authenticity of your reputation, but how you can even articulate threats to somebody.
Right.
And what you were saying is a very real thing, because we're looking at a time where this isn't about the rhymes anymore. This is literally about at times how you can bully and intimidate people. And, you're from the street as well as being a scholar with a pen,
right.
And we talked about this on the show. We've had you on before, and people got to understand, men have feelings.
Yeah, man.
You cross that, and when you cross that line with somebody at a certain point, there's going to be repercussions. And as we said on the show, the South and the Bay be different. We know how y'all move when something is said, and we know how the Bay moves.
It might,
Right.
and you know, in the South, it might stay lyrical at 3 records tops.
Yeah, that's it. You know, Master P used to say a while, a long time ago, us in the South, we don't play them disc games on records, man. We don't play the dozens on records. Because one, you say, hip hop come from the dozens. You know what I mean? And name calling and all that. Your shoes is this, your shirt is that. You can take that across the head with a grain of salt. But now when you're talking about this, that, and the other, you're going back to people's schoolhood and you know what I mean? The gay, straight, and lesbian terms, all this type of shit. You know what I mean? It's in the midst, man. And like I say, now it's not even business and fun no more. It's just personal shit that people bring about. And, literally, we talking drill rapping and all that. I mean, in a sense, to us, that's tried snitching. If you're going to commit a murder and do all this shit, why leave a bloody glove and talk about what you did for the hip hop cops and everybody else to take it, play the tape? The DA gonna play this motherfucking tape in court, man. You know what I mean? On some 50 cents. So that type of thing, man, it's cool, for whoever consider it cool. But we from the old law, man. That's any form of snitching is snitching to me, man. Keep your hands clean, man. Keep the dirt, from under your fingernails. I mean, I'm not gonna mention if I killed somebody last night, I'm not gonna make a record about that shit tomorrow. So that type of thing is crazy.
Perfect segue, Bleed. The situation which you're talking about, the drill, which is not necessarily, he's not a drill artist, but he's still from Chicago, Lil Durk. And how we have seen over the past month this shit unfold with him.
Yes.
This is a kind of, I don't want to make this long-winded, but I'll try to kind of make this concise as I can and inquisitive. We all know about the situation about 4 years ago when King Von was murdered, and we know that, of course, him and Durk were best friends. We know about the situation that happened in California where they tried to slide on Quando, and then Quando's best friend was killed.
Right.
And even when, this is a situation where everybody was saying after Vaughn was killed that, Durk needed to slide for him. And we've seen this situation come out with apparently now that one of his people who was apparently wiretapped, and they got all this information.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the elements of being a professional, because when you go into this business full time, you are a professional and that is your job.
Yes, sir.
How hard is it at times for some artists to make that separation of understanding that at certain points what you would normally do, you cannot do, and probably more emphatically, you should not do, because it will jeopardize your current position trying to justify claims and reasoning on why you should react a certain way on something.
I think Jay-Z said it best, when he was having a situation years ago with Beans, in the Mama Loves Me song. I think he mentioned, he said, Beans, I ain't trying to change you, just give you some game to make the transition from the streets to the fame, man.
Right.
It's a thin line between those worlds. So a lot of these guys coming fresh off the project, fresh off the square, hadn't been educated on business, let alone industry. You see what I'm saying? And like you say, it's a profession. It's an art. It's like Picasso painting pictures.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying? You got to leave the foolishness outside. I forget if that was Barry Gordy or rest in peace to Quincy Jones. They say used to have a sign outside the studio that said, leave all your feelings, emotions, and all that shit outside before you come in here. We focused on making records. Right. You see what I'm saying? So that's what the nature of the music business should be. And for any artist, you know what I mean? He need to take a page out that good book and recognize that. If you're going to be in the street, be in the street. I used to hear the dope boy say, well, I'm not a rapper. I'm a gang spitter. I'm a trapper. Well, say a dope bean. Get off the microphone. It's hip-hop. You know what I mean? If you're not with hip-hop, we all listen to the records. Then, you know what I mean? Yeah. Be an artist, rapper, MC, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. We come up with these new titles to try to twist what's already there. That's like conflicting and trying to change the Bible and the Holy Quran. What's written is written. It's role play. So, play your role or leave it alone. You got to figure, like they say, you can't serve two masters. You got to figure, like Jesus Christ would say, if you hot or you cold. You cannot be lukewarm. You can't be a blood and a crip, man. What are you? So it's unidentifying ourselves and getting caught in the confusion and lost in the rapture. So in that sense of the word, these things is written, to come to pass. So I'm not surprised, but I'm just watching it play itself out. So I respect the respectable, nothing against nobody, but we need to have a class to educate people when you're coming into this. You know what I mean? These record companies, it's like I call record companies it's like banks for artists. You see what I'm saying? You get the machine, you get the money and the militia behind it to stretch the long arm to promote you and again market you and that type of thing we look for. A lot of us is born naturally talented, but we don't have a construction, a common sense construction, you know what I mean? Let alone an industry and a business construction. So without being aware of these things, it's like fighting and just swinging in the dark. You don't know what you're doing. If you don't know where you come from, to know where you at, you don't know where the fuck you going. So that need to be taught, you know what I mean, in one sense. If the new generation nowadays, and not pinpointing, would listen. And even some of the old schoolers. So again, when you don't have a teacher in the classroom, the kids gonna run reckless. And that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a couple situations high profile. Of course, you look at what happened with Julio down in Florida with that situation.
Yeah.
And of course with YBC Duel out in Philadelphia.
Yes,
and they were killed within a month of each other, and it's like this was the same situation of young boys out there trying to get out there talking about people and acting like there won't gonna be no repercussions. Matter of fact, before Duel got killed, him and two other guys just shot a diss track, did a diss video a month before, and within a month, all three of them were dead.
And that's not knowing, man. And the funny thing, I said it in How You Do That. I always mention this. Young niggas still dying. You see what I'm saying? Nigga, right. What? It was fuck that, still that mentality times 10, after my days until what's happening now. The funny thing about it is, as soon as I learn of these new guys, before I get a whim to really take a liking to them, you know what I mean? They here today, gone tomorrow, literally. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. I hate to see that. That part discourages me anytime I turn that on. And especially some of our greatest talents, rest in peace to Nip Hustle and et cetera, man. Any coach in the continent nowadays. So I hate that part of the game, man. It's a time for love. It's a time to hate. So I had to learn I'm not a hater. I don't hate a person individual, but I might not like some of the ways and different things how people get down. And at the end of the day, it's to each his own. But if that could be corrected, it's a beautiful thing. It's a God-blessed game, man. It's an independent game you can live off forever if you learn the business. I was taught that, hey, bleed, this is 90% business, 10% talent. And I have to fight for the talent. Like that's the love and respect you have for the talent. Then I had to understand the business construction, the paperwork, the lawyers, the management team, the people that's typing on these computers, the flyers you got to put out, the posters and the money, the monetary thing behind it. You know what I mean? That it was once said to me, man, if you're not hot in your own hometown, how we going to promote you in Alaska? You see what I'm saying? So the construction it takes to build that, bro, it takes a team up, and no man, no island. So I feel like each one teach one at the end of the day, and things could be better, and hope so.
Now, do you think, to shoot a question to both of you guys, now, do you think that integrity is lost in today's game?
Definitely. To some degree, because some of us still have it. You know what I mean? The more Ice Cube would say this, and it's a record on his America's Most Wanted. I think it's the America's Most Wanted title song. He say, if I was old, you'd probably be a friend of me. But since I'm young, you consider me the enemy. They kill 10 of me to get the job correct, to serve, protect, and break a nigga's neck. Because I'm the one with a trunk of funk, with fuck the police and the tape deck, man. You see what I'm saying? So that type of thing, man, the young, wild, and reckless is targeted. Why you got guys, rest in peace, to Sidney Poitier, and that's old, black, and, and white alike, you know what I mean, for us, the world. That the OGs, we know how to get out the way, so, stay out the way, so we don't have to get out the way. It's put in a different form. Spice One said, OGs, we could tell when the task hit. New Jacks try to run and get your ass split. Yeah. And the 9 ain't shooting blanks. It's the copper with a fucked up day and a little drink, man. So that's what we're dealing with statistically across America and to the world. So, yeah, again, from an OG perspective, it was a time where the youngsters listened to the OGs and respected it. Now they do what the fuck they want to do. They don't have, some of them don't have respect for life, no knowledge of God, and that's where it's lacking. The God part out of that, the situation, is headed for self-destruction. You heard?
Yeah, and I gotta agree with Bleed on that. We're looking at a situation now where the processing of artists who's coming in today is way different than what it was years ago.
Yes.
We've spoken about this so many times because a label coming in, this is the simultaneous issue of social media. When you look at the components of social media, music creativity, and the outlet to facilitate it. Because back in the day, if you were going to sign to a label, you went through the process and it was kind of understood that you are an investment and you are not going to be doing anything foolish that's going to cause trouble. When you look at the days of when we came up, even the situation with MC Sun and KRS, love-hate relationship that they had, there was never any threat. There was never any feeling that they were actually going to do something physically to each other.
Right, that point.
Right.
When we look at a situation with Ice-T and LL when they got into it.
Yeah.
When we look at LL and Kool Moe Dee when they got into it, once again, there was never a threat said by anybody that we're going to do this to you.
Right.
We did find out, and it's a true story, that now in the situation with MC Search and Hammer, that did almost turn bad. There's a true story on YouTube about, Hammer was really not feeling when Third Base did that, basically.
Hammer also checked Ice Cube for True to the Game. So I think what it was, guys came up there, they was thinking Hammer was some type of punk or something because he dancing and all that.
Punk's coming out of Oakland.
Hey, look, that remind me of my good friend and brother Roy Jones when Fat Joe made the lean back. And I was watching an interview or something with Fat Joe describing how he come off the stage with about 120 goons. And I guess he separated. And before he noticed, he saw a guy in the corner with a hood on that rolled right up on him like, what was that shit you said about this? And he calmed down, hey, champ, man, it's just a record, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to watch who you talking about and who you playing with. We grown out here, man. So unless you have permission to do certain things, it's a discredit and a disrespect to your life, man. So yeah, watch who you play with. Everybody ain't for play. Especially Hammer, man. As much as Hammer was opposite negative and from where he come from out of Oakland, you know what I mean? For those that know Oakland, Too Short, the Outcast, and Redman are described. Hammer ain't the guy to play with, man. So, respect the respectable, man. Period.
Yeah. I mean, the Hammer, for a lot of people that don't know, Hammer's from East Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
And he, his brother, Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis was known as a real goon in the street.
Yes, sir.
And they were connected with a lot of guys. Felix Mitchell, rest in peace.
Yes, sir. Felix Mitchell, indeed, rest in peace.
Yeah, man. All those old hustlers out, the Alphabet Boys, I believe.
That's the old Oakland.
Yeah.
They were connected with all those guys out there.
Indeed.
And that's something where I think artists today, a lot of these young boys got to understand it, is that the talent is what's going to dictate your longevity.
Right.
But the words that you use wrongly are going to lessen your lifespan.
You know it, man. Loaded Luck said that in that battle. He said, making your paper longer, work making your life shorter. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Money ain't everything. It'll buy your coffin. You know what I mean? It ain't everything. Man. Yeah.
And one thing about it is that because there is a certain level of dedication, because when you really have devoted yourself to the art of rhyme and really being able to understand the direction you're going in, when we look at Rakim, when we look at yourself, when we look at Ice Cube, KRS, Cool G Rap, EPMD, so many others. Master P. The stories were told from an MC or a real street perspective or melded with both. But it was never necessarily about directing it towards anyone in terms of disrespect more than it was addressing real situations in a fashion of speaking on fact, but it wasn't about we're just going to go out and embarrass somebody.
Nah.
Even with Ice-T with No Vaseline with NWA.
Yeah.
That was more of a song where, was it a diss track? Absolutely. But it was rooted in truth.
Yeah.
And what happened? Two things happened. NWA broke up. NWA broke up in '91, and they never responded. But they showed that everything Q was saying on the album, on that track, was true. That there were problems.
Right. And even that got physical. You know, I'm good friends with 187 and Cocaine from Above the Law. So I know they had an altercation, a physical altercation.
Right.
Behind those records, man, and Easy E. So yeah, rest in peace. Definitely.
And it got, you know, the beautiful part about it was it got settled because there still was a mutual respect between those crews, music wise. That's what it was. Yeah. That's what brought everybody together in the first place, and not going back to the street stuff was music. So
yeah,
that was always that common respect.
Say that best, man. When he had the situation with the Ghetto Boys, he said we sat down and settled. People thought it wouldn't happen again, but we sat down and settled our differences like men, man. And put the bullshit behind us. Willie D with the Ghetto Boys, you know, and he mentioned it was finna go into all these dark areas. But, you know, real men do real things, man. So I commend any brother that had situations. We got, you know, physical and, you know, and all kind of different things. If you got, you know, far as civil and rivalry is concerned. So you go through life, man, arguing with your family members, and sometimes it's physical, but sometimes we have to come back to the table as a family. You know what I mean? God life. So in that sense of the word, man, I commend anybody that's able to put their pride aside and recognize the real picture and get back to the table, man. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I think that. At the end of the day, we don't need any more conflict of the game. We don't need any more situations where people are unnecessarily getting killed. It's something that it diminishes an art that has already been perceived by those uninitiated and uneducated on it in terms of what some will dismiss it as nothing more than mindless violence and misogyny. And it's not that. This is a rich culture that is rooted in an expression of the experience lived through people of color.
Yes.
But it's expanded. It's white people like Eminem,
Chinese.
Rugged Man. Yeah, everybody all over the world
has
taken it from their language and from their experiences and from their culture and have used that as a vehicle to express their feelings, which is why hip hop is the number one, you know, genre right now in the world.
Yeah,
there's something about impact and influence.
Exactly that. And one of our number one killers is lack of knowledge. They say we die of lack of knowledge. And ignorance is bliss. So that's the whole situation, man. Other than that, it's the universal language. We all might not talk the same language. We all could sing, you know, like George Clinton would say, one nation under the groove and harmony. You know, so it's about that here again, you know, from us to the Bible, man. Psalm and the Song of Psalms. That part. God want to see us rejoice and be happily ever after, man. So it's all about that unison and the unity in the community, my brother.
Facts. And speaking of reunions and stuff like that, now was you a part of Masterpiece No Limit reunion tour?
I did one day in 2018, and just recently, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago now, we reunited again. I did a date with those guys in Nashville. Yeah, but not the whole thing. You know, I was on the marquees and certain flyers and different things, but we couldn't get the business and everything on one accord. So I was only able to make those 2 days, you know, based on the situation.
Dope. And then on top of that, it's good to see was the crowd response still strong to those records.
Yeah, it was like 7,000 people out there in Nashville this last show we just did. Crazy.
That's dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to know that even after all these years, people still are responding in such a positive way to it?
It's like Exhibit back in the days with I forget the name of that song. We got the video and he go out to get the milk and the neighborhood is in turmoil. He described it in the hook of that song. And anywhere you go, yeah, it's just like home. So it's like that for me. I done lived in 41 states at least a weekend. So everywhere I go, where I hadn't been, it starts all over for me. It's brand new. Especially the people that have been fans for years and they get the opportunity to see me in a physical. Yeah, I always get a welcome mat, man. So here again, God bless game right there.
Man, and I know that's got to be so inspiring for y'all to know that
absolutely
there's still that love, there's still that appreciation, and that there's still a market for it. And some people still try to say hip hop is a young man's game. I'm like, but it's the elders that paved the way.
Right.
And you got artists like when we look at the Godfather E40, that Ice Cube posted last week about My Ghetto Report Card being one of the most important albums in the history of the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, now, it's a great album. I have it in the collection.
Yeah.
I'm like, but for Cube to give that album such high praise,
yes,
that was a wild moment.
It's like Spice One described this to me one time. He said for whatever he was lacking coming into the new generation, here for as a fan base, he went across seas, either England or Europe somewhere, and say, man, they all going to the plane. It was an encore. I think he performed twice out there. But it's like what I say to anybody, and Jay-Z here again said it best when he was having this situation with Birdman and Lil Wayne, and they was comparing who's the best rapper, and he was saying, well, that's based on opinion. And I agree. It's all based on opinion. Who my favorite or my fan, or whoever fan, well, from a fan perspective, to some people I'm their favorite. To some people it is Jay-Z. To some people it's Eazy-E. So that welcoming into the world, man, it's not biased. It's not just put in a box. You know what I mean? So it's infinite at this point. Your local town rapper might be the number one rapper in Australia. You see what I'm saying? And with the beauty of the internet nowadays, it got that long arm reach. So, here again, it's not about chasing that MC crown no more. Like KRS One said, I'm still number one. If I was number one before, I'm always be number one. That's like out here again, we looked at the Mike Tyson fight. That's Mike, man, to the grave. I don't care what he do. God bless his life, and it's good to see him still alive, especially after all his trials and tribulations, still to be able to stand a man. I used to tell Roy Jones all the time, man, and tell his kids, rest in peace to his son that just passed earlier this year. Y'all daddy got one of the hardest hustlers on the planet because he got to stand face to face, man to man, and swing them things. You know what I'm saying? His trainer, manager, and cut man could tell him whatever in that corner, but it's on him to go out there. It's the same way with us. I relate boxing to rapping because your competition is not each other. It's that microphone. Some people freeze up when that red light come on. You know what I'm saying? But you have to do what you've been talking and saying that you gonna somebody give you an opportunity or a deal, then you got to put out what you said. You know what I mean? Practice what you preach. So at the end of the day, it's about standing for yourself, being one with God, and manifesting and bringing it to life, man. So I agree with those terms.
You know what? You know what? And y'all bringing that up about how hip hop treats his legend, how even the community treats his legends. I'm thinking, for the most part, had Mike hasn't been swindled with a lot of his earnings in the past, and had I think the community would have looked out a little bit, like not with just him, but any of our particular legends that we take prestige of. He wouldn't have to go through stuff like taking a fixed fight for a payday. I'm thinking we have to hold our legends to a higher regard.
Right. And then, it go back to 1908, long for our time. I'm on Jack Johnson here, man, the first black boxer in the national, international boxing scale. And for us on the black hand side, that's kind of the cards we was dealt. The Italians or whoever run the racket. The only undefeated boxer in history, there's a joke about it on Coming to America, the original Coming to America, about Rocky Marciano being the greatest fighter of all time because he had 49 wins and 49 knockouts. But for a black man, Jack Johnson, those guys could fight 45 rounds. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So the only blemish he had on his record when they forced him to take a dive, or they threatened his life as a black man. You get up in the 26th round, we're going to hang your black ass tomorrow, is what they told him. So, you know, when you look at how he knocked out, they had that fight in Cuba outside, so he blocking the sun. You knocked out, your arms is flat. He waited out his count, he never boxed again. You saw that same scenario like we saw the other night with Joe Louis and Rocky Marciano, where Rocky Marciano was the same fan of Joe Louis as well as his family, but they waited till Joe was an old man, and they let him take, you know, young line over through the old line. So that's been our history for us black boxers, man, through the world. But the only one we have right now, and it's in a different weight division, is Floyd Mayweather, that has the only black man in history that I know has an undefeated record. But our history of the greatest boxers, it's a lot of great black boxers, and we had a Negro League boxing before Jack Johnson. He was the first black boxer, like I said, to step into the international realm when it was just, you know, the Great White Hope, that type of thing. So it just been kind of like the cards we dealt from him to Sonny Liston. But the star children of the boxing committed to me is Jack Johnson, Muhammad Ali, and Mike Tyson. And look at that repeat process all the way up until the other night.
Yeah, because it seemed like to me, and this we going real deep because I feel like it's a real deep connection behind it, because it seems like they have an obsession of conquering records, like going back to conquering Mike Tyson record. Mike Tyson was pretty much like the baddest gladiator we had coming from our culture, and they had to find somebody to conquer him, even rigged or not, old or not. The simple fact is, the record is on the record book now.
Yeah, right. That's the same thing to tell Roy Jones. I watched Roy chase that one defeat that they kind of robbed him out of his first loss
in 1994.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It was 94, 97 when you lost to Montel Griffin. Yeah.
Okay, yep, and it's by decision. So what we liked about Mike Tyson is, okay, I'm not going to give you a chance to make a decision. I'm going to knock you the fuck out in 18 to 30 seconds, and that way the world saw it is. You can't rob me. Go back to Hurricane Carter, the movie played by Denzel Washington, The Hurricane.
Great movie.
Yeah, one of my favorites, man. So I watched this repeat cycle, you know, and like you say, more aimed and targeted black, just to conquer us. And from that to music, and we can go on and on, you know what I mean, for as black history, where that's concerned. But whatever that is about, you know what I mean? Yeah, to conquer us and to rob you of your heights and to your defeats, man. Yeah, that's a constant cycle, my brother.
Yeah, and it's wild, man, because when we look at Mike, when you think about what he was, I tell any of the younger generation, throw on about 4 YouTube clips. Matter of fact, just put on one shameless plug. Put on the YouTube club of Jedi Mind Tricks with a Mike Tyson highlight knockouts, and just sit back and be amazed.
Yeah, yes, indeed, unstoppable.
When you look at what Mike was, and I don't want to necessarily get too much on the situations that got him, you know, incarcerated, other than I'm going to say,
yes,
you never heard anything prior to that in terms of him assaulting women, and you have not heard anything since. So the circumstances of what happened that night are questionable in terms of the validity of it.
Yeah, I always said this, and we remember when Robin Givens come on TV, and she was describing how he was putting his hands on all that. We remember when Mitch Green, you know what I mean, was talking shit to Mike outside the baseball card PlayStation or something. A punch without the gloves on. You saw the side of his face. So this skin-ass Robin Givens, there's no way this man was no way he'd have broke your body in half, as well as the girl that with the situation. You know, I done heard different things, and I don't know nobody personally in that circle of people. But, you know, I can't understand that, the way it's described. You know what I mean? No bruises and marks. You know, this man's a monster, man. He was 229 pounds of pure muscle in his heyday. But I feel like Mike Hart left when Costamato left. That wouldn't have happened on Costamato watch, Mike. So after that, he was in the hand of the wrong handlers. He was a young kid himself, the youngest heavyweight to ever do it in the world. gladiator, but his heart left when his papa heart. You know, his adopted papa, Costamato, man. So rest in peace to the great Costamato, man.
Yeah, the wrong handlers got a piece of the pie and was gapping him out of a lot of his money.
Yeah.
And it was just
So
downhill
matter
from
your
there.
mindset. How can you focus? You know what I mean? When the people that's in your corner stab you in the back, he can't focus on his opponent when his real opponent is behind him. You see what I'm saying? So I understood that. Even to the Buster Douglas fight, that was a pure setup. He knocked Buster Douglas' ass out. The count was off. You know what I mean? And that was never rekindled. So he spent the rest of his days as a boxer chasing his tail, the white, because he had a clean record. But here again, once that one is on you, then it's a domino avalanche effect after that.
Yep. And when you think about it, and we're not, and we can say this on air because Mike has acknowledged that he was in a lot of stuff in terms of his, the drugs and a lot of things. So Mike did.
Yeah.
But when we look at it, and I'm not necessarily going to be as critical of the situation because we knew what it was. It was an exhibition.
Yeah, man.
And we saw flashes of that old Mike. We saw flashes that Mike. I mean, Mike was 58, but
that first round, he looked good in that first round, man. I was like, oh, yeah, he keep that up. It's a problem, man. He looked like 20-year-old Mike when he come out that first round. And then when he just quit jabbing and not throwing punches or halfway throwing, fixing his mouthpiece, I didn't like to see that. You know what I mean? So I knew then, yeah, this, I don't want to, and if it's on me, Mike, take your money, do what you got to do, keep the hemp farm. We gonna always love you and always hold you down in the side of the globe. But stay out that ring, man. Leave that alone.
It kind of seemed like
George Foreman at 60, 63. George Foreman still was knocking your ass off, man. But I remember he wanted to fight Mike when Mike was that young monster, and the boxing committee wouldn't submit to that because they were scared of what he would have did George Foreman. Yeah, so it's the same repeat process, man.
Same thing with Holyfield. When Holyfield, he got manhandled.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was looking at
Larry Holmes. Yeah, Larry Holmes, old line against the young line, man. So that's how they set these fights up. You know what I mean?
Sugar Ray Leonard against Terry Norris.
Y'all see the pattern? Y'all see the pattern though, right? Notice this is always either Mexicans or whites dethroning the black legends.
That part, I don't agree with that at all. You know what I mean? For me, boxing stopped being exciting after Roy Jones. After that, I'm a fan of Floyd Mayweather. I'm a fan of Tank out of Baltimore. My nickname is Tank. So different between him and Floyd Mayweather, to me, he had that same accuracy, but he was more of a power puncher. See, I'm from the Mike Tyson era as well as you guys. So once Mike sparred us, I want to see somebody knock your ass off and don't play no game. No socks on, no robe. Let's get in, get to the business. It's not a fashion show, and walk out with the purse. So that last series of boxers, man, that end with Roy Jones for me. And like I say, Floyd Mayweather, those guys in the lightweight division. But for his heavyweights, being the top, middleweights in the middle, it stopped at Roy for me. I hadn't really been interested in boxing since then.
Yeah, but Roy brought a certain finesse and flash that you would never see before. Like the way he would bob and weave and just hit you.
He was the real Apollo Creed for me, man. Bro, I could rap and do all that shit. He'll come there and showboat, put that shoulder down, and he gonna whoop the shit out you. You know what I'm saying? Like a true pit bull. So, yeah, he was the real life Apollo Creed for me, or Roy Jones.
Yeah, and we look at Floyd, and we love Floyd on the show. We got nothing but love for the team. Shout out to the brothers, of course, Al Heyman, all of them. But Floyd was a guy that Floyd understood the business aspect of it, I think, before anybody else did. We've always joked on the show, fighting Floyd is easy because because Floyd is not necessarily that guy, and he said it himself.
Yeah.
He ain't about going into doing them slugfest. That's not his thing.
Nah,
he's gonna beat you.
He's gonna beat you.
He's gonna beat you with them points. But Floyd is not a guy who is going to engage. Now, that doesn't mean he couldn't knock you out. And for a couple of his first few fights, he would. He had them hands, but then his thing was, let me be defensive oriented and counterpunch you and win off of points.
Yeah, he one of the greatest to do it. Supremely accurate. I liked how he picked his punches. Supremely accurate, but not such a power puncher. Is the difference in Floyd. Yeah, but he's going to give you a nice, beautiful, clean fight and walk away with it by the point system. But I always said, do the black. And what we was talking about the whole history of that, you need to knock him out. That way they can't rob you of your fight at the end of the fight, man. Knock his ass out. We all saw that, and we ain't got to go by the point system.
Yeah. What you said about being a Jack Johnson fan, watching Ken Burns' documentary on him, Unforgivable Blackness.
Yes, sir.
That was powerful.
Oh, yeah. I remember Stanley Kitchell, if I'm saying that right, and they had the expedition fight, and him and Jack was good friends. And, Jack was a decent real suit. He was like a Floyd Mayweather, very accurate. He didn't throw a punch unless he landed it. And, you wouldn't really touch Jack. You look at a Jack Johnson fight. But Stanley Kitchen made the wrong mistake in the expedition when he really wasn't going hard on him. And he hit Jack, he sucker punched Jack, and put Jack on the canvas for the first time the world has saw that. But when Jack got up, when you see that flurry of punches he threw, the first one, he knocked him out cold. When we was talking the difference between when Jack laid down for his knockout, he holding his glove over his face while they counted. Stanley Kitchen was out cold. We looked like Jesus Christ on the mat. You know what I'm saying?
Is that from that picture where he was standing in the corner after he knocked him out?
Yeah, but standing in the corner, wiping his teeth. This is the whole thing.
Right.
Wiping his teeth out of his glove. How you go past the mouthpiece and get 2 teeth stuck in your glove? That was that first punch. And when you look at Jack fall over his body, he's still swinging. So he threw a combination of flurries here again, and he landed that one punch. The second punch never hit him because it's 2 things. Mom used to tell me 2 things gonna happen when we fight. It's gonna be 2 licks passed in the fight. I'm gonna hit you, and you gonna hit the ground. And that's a perfect example. To pick your teeth out the gloves, man, that was a hell of a punch. So that showed you the power and accuracy of Jack Johnson, man. My favorite of all time is Jack Johnson.
Yeah. Now, I want to flip the question on you, please. Now, obviously, we know with Jake, he showed the respect to Mike. We know what it was.
Yes.
Jake is talking about, he said in the lead up that he's going to be world champion sooner than we say. Now, Jake he's trained and he's fundamental. He's fundamentally sound, but he is not fluent. What does Jake have to understand in terms of really giving in the ring? Because my thing is this. I respect Jake. I like him personally. I'm like, Jake, you talk about being a world champ. You're going to have to go through. I'm not even sure that he can handle the top 15 fighters. Like, not even get to the top 10. I'm like, dude, what about the top 15 going into the top 20? Could you... What do you see that Jake has to do from a boxing perspective to get better at it to where he can maybe cash in on that claim that he could be world champion one day?
Well, here again, my brother, like I said, not since Roy Jones. So you would know better about that history. This is my first time ever seeing Jake. I never knew who Jake was because I hadn't been in that realm of boxing as much as I love boxing since Jack Johnson. So I don't know his resume. I don't know. It's like when you're looking at Rocky. When Rocky go ask Mick in part 3, hey man, those were paper champions that I was fighting. Yeah, I fixed those fights. Or you didn't get your ass knocked out basically. When he fight Clubber Lang, Mr. T, and then Mr. T, that dude is hungry. Rocky will knock you into tomorrow, man. I don't want you to fight.
He'll knock you in tomorrow, Rock.
He gonna knock you into tomorrow, man.
He's like, you haven't been hungry since you won the title. He's like,
right.
He said they were hand. Yo, that would kill your confidence like crazy, man. Like you tell all your fights were hand.
That was Rocky Costamato Mick, man. Yeah, Mick was his everything. So when he lost Mick, his heart went with Mick. Mick died that night when he first fought Clubber the first time. So his heart wasn't with him in that ring. That's like having a soulless body. And eventually he Apollo shaped him back and he went on back and got his title back. But that example, my brothers, is it's how I feel about that. I don't know who's the top 10, top 15 fighters. If you got a bunch of paper champions, these guys are not. I feel like when anything reach me, you're making enough noise. I don't know about them.
Yeah, these guys are ducking each other, man. Like it's like the best ain't really fighting the best anymore.
Nah, man, it's all what I call paper and politics, man. It's good entertainment. You know what I mean? All this sports shit, the football, the basketball. I've been to one professional basketball game in my life and one professional football game. And to see that, it reminds me of us on a stage. It's just a bigger stage and plateau to play on. So, you know, it once told me 3 points for the guy on the court, $3 million for the guy in the call box, man. Yeah. So paper and politics, my brothers.
When you look at boxing, man, that's always been a selling point that the UFC has had with Dana White, because Dana White says, you know, once again, we give you the fights that boxing doesn't, because UFC is mandatory that those guys, within 90 days, or basically whenever they are summoned to defend the title, if it was, look, either you defend that title or we strip it. So you can't duck anybody.
You can't duck anybody. You got to play the game. Once you sign up, it's like taking an oath to be the president. You in the game now. You got to play the game or retire. I say this: who I felt like was in that candidacy and had a chance, and I didn't like, you know, how he went out. Rest in peace to Kimbo Slice. Kimbo from that backyard, man, was the next Mike Tyson, but he got into the wrong bracket. I felt like he should have been more of a boxer than an MMA fighter, because that's a whole nother foot training and different things like that. But shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, head to head, man to man, Kimbo Slice, man.
Yeah, that UFC training ain't no joke.
Nah, that's martial arts and everything else. And like I said, if your foot patterns is not like that and all the submissions, that's a different thing than street fighting. And here again, coming from the shoulders, that's a different art.
It is. And as Kimbo, the thing is with Kimbo, for what he made for that, and it's hard to believe that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When we first saw that come to prominence. This is when YouTube was still kind of becoming a thing, because YouTube was the advent of it came in 2006. Then Kimbo, of course, started making the rounds with the videos, and I saw Kimbo for the first time. I knew, was he a big tough guy? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But once again, when you're getting into MMA, that's a different situation in terms of how those guys are trained. It's like with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar lost. Brock is a big, strong guy, but I'm like, dude, these dudes use hands and feet, and they're skilled at it. And they can take even a big guy down. And Kimbo, when he lost that fight, you know, it was like thing with Brock. And Brock lost on the last second substitute.
Yes, sir.
But when you look at how those guys fight, man, I'm like, you can be big and strong, but when you're dealing with these guys that have trained for this, you know,
different technique.
Exactly. It's technique, and they've been trained from their training to know how to take down anybody their side, twice their size.
Yes, twice their side. Yeah, you're right.
You know, it's about strategy. It's about knowing the pressure points. It's about knowing where to attack.
Right.
And Kimbo only knew one way of fighting in terms of with his hands and just a lot of haymakers.
Yeah, that's it.
You're not going to beat somebody that knows how to counter haymakers and can kick or punch back on them.
So just by them putting them down, just by them grappling you alone, that's going to wear you down.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And like I say, I mean, from your knees and everything, I know guys in the street that'll step on your feet or break your ankles or break your kneecap. If you're not prepared to fight like that, you ain't going to win that fight, man. That's a whole, like you say, different training and technique. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's something when we look at how the politics change out there and how everybody wants to transition. Because I think when we look at how the show is, how things have become more of a show, and how it's homogenized, I think, more for the public, you know, consumption rather than being, I guess, authentic. We're still talking about boxing.
Man. It's like the showmanship, because the showmanship brings commerce.
Yeah, absolutely. The loudmouth Ric Flair, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have your Ric Flair on, man, to sell a ticket. Muhammad Ali was the greatest showman boxer, because he talked enough shit and he backed his shit, you know what I mean? So that kept the fight interesting and exciting. And he knew as a businessman how to promote, you know what I mean, and carry on. So he was the greatest at that. You know, I call Roy Jones the Apollo Creed of it. Roy talked his shit, he'll come to the ring rapping and still back it up. But Ali to the grave, man, from Cassius Clay into Muhammad Ali, he's the mouth. You know, I could say the mouth of the South, being from Louisville, Kentucky, because Kentucky is considered the South. with the Southern states. So the mouth of the South, Muhammad Ali, man.
Muhammad is special, man. You know, it's always going to be a debate, the eternal debate between Floyd. Some people give it to Floyd because of it undefeated. And I will always say this respectfully: Floyd didn't fight everybody either, because there was a couple fights.
He kind of ducked out.
Yeah, he didn't fight. Like, you know, he got the record, but also too, we could also name a couple of guys along the way in his prime that he didn't fight.
Yeah, right.
But when you look at, to me, the top two heavyweights, and even boxers, I'd have to say, would have to be Ali and Tyson.
And Jack before him, man. You can't forget Jack.
Jack, of course.
It was none of them. Jack kicked the ball for every black boxer that became an international black boxer. So that's why I say those three.
But I mean, he was so far ahead of everybody at the time.
Yeah.
There was really no competition. Jack is already given, but he was so far ahead. But when you look at how the fight game was, it's like, for me, it's like with the NBA. I think Hakeem is the greatest center that ever played a game. Because I've never seen a center move, a 7-footer move like he did, and could dribble and just move in the post like he could.
Right.
Some people will say Bill Russell. But I'm like, Bill Russell and Wilt played in a totally different time.
Well, I was going to say Wilt, man. Yeah, in a different time. See, Wilt was more like the Jack. Because he was, you know, and no discredit, he was playing a lot of white guys. That wasn't as an aggressive player, and it wasn't a big player like him. But let's rewind to Jack. Now, we talking international, national league. But you check the Negro League of boxing, see, there wasn't no black men that he could fight on a national scale.
Right.
But in the Negro League, Jack had lost about 10 fights. Langston, I forget the guy, Langston. There was some guys that was brutal on the black hand side of things that, you know, might have could have saw Jack up. But given the opponents he was given, they was going to get every white man, hey, let's whoop this nigga, man. You see what I'm saying? So due to those politics, he was like Wilt in a white world. You see what I'm saying? With his competition, not being every other race around the country, giving any other guy a chance at the belt, and he had to chase after himself until he got it. So he again, paper and politics, my brother. This is America.
Yeah, but
and look, shouts out to James Toney too. James Toney is a friend of mine. James Toney was a hard-hitting motherfucker, man.
Shout out to him and Lane.
Yeah, we got it. Well, we just had an interview with him not too long ago. Big shout out to that dude.
Big James, man. I met James in California at Priority Records. He was in there one time with somebody, and I talked to him. I want to say maybe recent as this year. I spoke to him. But him and Roy Jones, the only two real boxer guys that I done met, and that's real friends. Me and Roy. You know, Roy put out the I Smoke, I Drank record for us. Rest in peace to Magic. And released that on Body Head. So I used to go to Pensacola. He'll fly me out all the time. And the reason I moved to Dallas and kept a lot of bread in my pocket. So I got a lot of love and brotherhood with Roy Jones, man.
One of the best, man. I mean, Roy Jones, I remember, I think it was 1993, 94 when I first saw footage of this guy.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed. I'm like, the first thing I saw was that hand speed, and I was like, this dude is special.
Yeah. But my pop's favorite boxer is Muhammad Ali. That was in their days. You know, we was young and we caught the last end of days with Ali. You know, I'm born in the 70s. But for my pops, it's Ali, Mike Tyson, and Roy Jones, man, forever.
Yeah, man. Ali, I tell people with Ali, man, that dude just had an unbelievable mix of speed and power.
Guard in the ring. The Phantom Punch with Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was our first Mike Tyson. But that Phantom Punch, everybody thought that was a fluke punch. But it take, you know, now that we have YouTube and that type of thing, they slow it down digitally. You know what I'm saying? And you can see the muscle jerk in his body. And it's so quick of a punch and a power punch. He slept him in the first round, man. You know, him and George Foreman, I think, used to punch trees instead of body bags. You know what I'm saying? But, that Phantom Punch, man, one of the greatest, quickest, hardest punches in boxing history, man. You ain't so fast you couldn't even see it in real time. You could not see it. It looked like a fake punch. But when you slow it down, you see the connect and all his body jerk when he hit him that fast and that hard. Quick. Yeah. Speed racer, man.
Yeah, we got it.
Look at the game right now. We're looking at the young lions like Javante, you know, and Shakur and what they're doing. And shout out to Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying?
And Tyson Fury, those three guys, You know, it's another guy named Eric something. I forget his name. I can't call it. I don't want to say he's out of Texas, but he go right into that category with Floyd and
I know you talked about too, Bleed. I can't remember his name.
Shakur Stevenson.
Exactly who you talking about.
Yeah, those the last guys I've been glancing at, waiting for that same old moment of glory. So, you know, it's just like the new rappers. Now, I keep an ear to them, but here today, gone tomorrow before you can go, okay, keep coming. Okay, that's my man. Nah, I bet on him. It don't last that long. You know what I mean? That part.
Yeah, I'm thinking you was talking about Shakur Stevenson, right?
Okay, I'm slightly familiar
with
him.
Him.
This guy's name is Eric something. I can't call his name. He out of Texas.
Jay Prince manages him. I think Jay Prince manages Shakur Stevenson.
Okay, now this guy, his name, it is Eric something, if I'm not mistaken. But I want to say he's a lightweight, you know, if not a light middleweight, somewhere in that bracket. I wish I you know, knew his last name. I didn't, just forgot it. But it's Eric something, if I'm not mistaken, man. It's not that same guy you talking about, I don't believe.
Yeah, because I know, because he actually had a fight in Texas this year.
Yeah.
But they're really like saying that he could be one of those next guys.
Okay.
Out there. Trying to remember who he is, though, but man,
it'll come to us.
it'll come to us, but
yeah, it'll come to us. But yeah, man, you know, we about to wrap the hour up, man. It's always dope building with you and chopping it up.
Absolutely.
Honor and a pleasure, my brothers. Absolutely, every time.
Yeah, man. Then now you have any shout outs you want to give out before we head up out?
Man, you know, to y'all for bringing me back through like we do, man. The whole Corleone family, Trapdoor Entertainment family, and the world for that matter. I try not to leave nobody out. I'll be all day, man. But anybody that's supportive of Young Bleed and my whole movement from the beginning to where we are now, let's keep it keeping on, man. That part. Much love, respect, success, and God bless you.
No doubt, man. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep in touch with you, man. We're gonna continue pushing that line for you. I got your new number, so we locked in definitely.
Okay, keep me locked, family for life, man. I'm on deck. I'm working over here. Y'all get ready for this new shit. It's going down. You heard?
All right.
Absolutely. Lee, thank you as always, man. Thank you.
Okay, much love to y'all, brothers. Y'all have a good evening.
You too, man.
Yes, sir. Peace.